Hello, this is Alex, and in today's Lightroom video I'm going to show you how to get rid of the extra JPEG files when you had your camera accidentally set to capture both RAW and JPEG files. Obviously, as a Lightroom user, we don't really need the JPEG files in that RAW plus JPEG couple because Lightroom would only use the RAW file in the develop module anyway. So the JPEGs are just a waste of disk space and a waste of time in case you're backing them up too and all that. How does it happen that Lightroom shows us NEF or DNG or REF or CR2, CR3 plus JPEG in the catalog, but it doesn't show them as separate items, and we didn't see them in the import dialog either, where they slip past our attention? No, Lightroom simply hides those files from us. The culprit is here in the preferences in the General tab under the import options, the option treat JPEG files next to RAW files as separate photos. If this option is checked, Lightroom will show the JPEG files next to RAW files. If this option is unchecked, like it is here, Lightroom will hide the JPEG files in the import dialog, but it will still import them and handle them for us. So in this situation, we want to get rid of them later on. Here's how that looks. I go to import, and I choose my memory card here. I don't want to import any of these files here. And in my destination folders, I would only choose the 18 photos that I have here. And you see they only show up as NEF files here. And even in the pop-up that Lightroom shows, it does not show us that there's a JPEG file attached to this. But I can right-click here and choose Show in Finder. And then I see NEF plus JPEG, NEF plus JPEG, NEF plus JPEG, and so on and so on. That is a mixed folder here that has only NEF files and my example files. Otherwise, I could delete the JPEG files right from here, of course. But to show how we can clean up after the fact, let's proceed with this and import those photos here into my date-based folder structure real quick. Click on import. Because it's just 18 files, this is really quick. To make this somewhat more visible here is I rename this to raw plus JPEG files, and I'll show you why in a moment. You see here I have set my thumbnail grid to show the expanded cells, which includes the file name here. You can change that in the right-click option under View Options. Here you can switch between compact cells, then you don't see a lot of information, and expanded cells, then you would see this information here. So in the expanded cells here, this is what I meant earlier. NEF plus JPEG indicates this is a Nikon RAW file plus a JPEG file. And they're bundled as a pair. You see here the numbers 7632, 7631, and so on and so on. So there's no duplication here, but I can see that I have an NEF and a JPEG file here. So let's get rid of the JPEG files. I right-click here and choose Show in Finder. And then here's that folder. And I double-click to go into that folder. And here we see 36 items, 18 times 2, because for each NEF file we also have a JPEG file, right? So this is important. Do this only for a folder where every JPEG file can go, because you have all of them in pairs. Do not use this when you have a single JPEG file from a different camera, like your phone or whatever else, or a compact camera that is important to you in the same folder. Because in the next step, we're going to delete all the JPEG files. This is very simple. I click on Search, and it works pretty much the same on Windows and on the Mac. And I search for .jpeg. And here are these files. And the important thing is to have the search focus set to just this folder here, raw plus JPEG files, right? This is our folder here, and not on this Mac or this computer. So you don't want to search for the JPEG files on your entire computer. You only want to search for the JPEG files in this single folder. Because in the next step, we're going to use Control or Command A to select them all, and then right click, move to trash or bin on the Mac, or trash them, delete them on Windows. And then the JPEG files go. and I remove this search criterion, and my raw files are left. Perfect. I cleaned up that disk space. Now all that's left is to tell Lightroom that the JPEG files are gone. And how do we do that? Very simple. Right-click on the folder, Synchronize folder. Any option here, there's nothing new to import. There are no missing photos in there, so this is grayed out. And scan for metadata updates, I don't need to do that either. I leave it unchecked. Simply click on Synchronize, and there Lightroom has updated the library grid and its database, and now knows there is only JPEG files in that folder. That was almost too simple, was it? I hope you find this video helpful and that you can easily clean out your extra JPEG files now from your folders where you don't need them. Thanks for watching. Bye.